What's up guys, and I want to talk to you about staying safe on the run. And of course the reason for this video's topic is the tragic murder of Eliza Fletcher. And I've got to say that the things I'm going to be telling you about are pretty much common sense. However, I'm going to run down a list, and this article that I found was on Road ID, and ideally I just wanted to spark a conversation, and I want to know what you do to stay safe when you're out on the run. And it always strikes me as just incredibly unfair that I get to go out for a run and not worry about a thing, and a lot of women out there don't have that same luxury. So really it's women I want to hear from. I hope you all are taking precautions and taking care of yourself out on the run. Let's just go over these 9 things that Road ID suggests that you do to stay safe. Of course, I'll put the link in the show notes below if you want to check out that list yourself. But the first thing they suggest is to remain alert. Of course, when I first saw this, I rolled my eyes and I'm like, yeah, of course we have to remain alert. That is the one thing that we have to do so we're aware of our surroundings. We need to be situationally aware at all times. However, it is easier said than done. And if I have drifted off and just kind of got lost in my thoughts on the run, I know that every one of you has. But it's important, especially if we're in a place and there's not a lot of people around, or perhaps if it's at a time of day or night that just feels a little sketchy to be out on your own. Remain alert. The second suggestion for staying safe is to keep it cool. And the article suggests that you do this by not showing your fatigue. Don't advertise to your adversaries that you're getting tired. And the same thing holds true when we're racing. You don't want to tell everyone that you're weak, that you're in a state of fatigue, and maybe now is the time to take advantage and pass you on the way to the finish line. No. You keep you cool. Don't show your fatigue. Don't make yourself an easy mark for potential aggressors. And the article also goes a step further, knowing that we are likely to get tired while we're running. And they suggest that if you're in a dangerous place, maybe take the time, slow down just a little bit so you're not losing your breath on the run, so you can maintain that air of strength while you're running. Gosh, this is really a horrible thing to talk about, but it's important. It's really important that we all stay safe when we're out on the run. The third thing that they suggest to stay safe on the run is to bring ID. And I think this is a rather obvious one, and I don't want to get really dark, but let's say worst case scenario, you trip over and you hurt yourself and you have to go to the hospital. Well, they're going to want to know who you are. So in this case, we're not just talking about an aggressor while we're out running, we're talking about some kind of medical event that could happen, an injury that could happen. It's always best to keep your ID on you, and if you have some kind of medical alert bracelet or app on the phone, make sure that's up to date. The fourth thing they suggest is to listen to your instincts, and we've all heard this, right? We trust our gut. If something just seems a little off, maybe turn around, go back the way you came, take a different route. Have you noticed the same car passing you several times and the occupant's looking at you? Perhaps there's been someone that's been running behind you for a little bit. I know that times when I've been running behind someone and we're kind of running at the same pace, I'll make a point to turn around, go in the other direction, or take a detour. I don't want anyone being worried that I am following them. So if you feel like someone's following you, take evasive maneuvers. Number 5 is to carry a personal safety device. Of course, there are loads of companies out there now that make these devices to just make you feel a little safer when you're out on the run. And it can be anything from a keychain, weapon, maybe a little can of pepper spray, and whatever you choose to carry with you, just know that using it is a worst case scenario, but at least you've got it if the worst case scenario happens. On the other side, perhaps you can just diffuse a situation by showing that you're carrying a personal safety device. I know Nathan does put out a little handheld alarm with a little button on it, so if you think you're getting into trouble, you can just press that button and it sends out a very loud, very shrill noise, and hopefully to scare off your attacker or to get the attention of someone else to come to your aid. There's also Go Guarded, and their slogan is self-defense for active individuals, and they have a range of products that are pretty affordable. They have a lot of edge weapons, and these are handheld weapons. I know they also have a little ring that has a blade on it and some handheld edge weapons. So if anyone ever approached you with bad intentions, you could really take care of business, at least enough to run away and get to a safe area. And Go Guarded also sells little canisters of pepper spray. So whatever you feel comfortable using or carrying, there are a lot of options out there for you. We're moving right along, and we're very lucky to live in a time that we do, because you can also have a running app that tracks your location as you're running. And there are loads out there. We've got Strava Beacon, and I'm sure whatever watch you are using actually has that feature on your watch. You're probably running with your phone, so in that case you can allow your significant other or some friends to track your phone so they always know where you are. Number 7 is to not run at night. And I hate that this is a recommendation, and I totally get it, because running at night when it's dark is just not safe, or at least that danger level increases when we can't see what's going on around us. But as someone that always runs at night, like 90% of my runs I run before the sun rises. I don't like recommended not to run at night, but I totally get it. I know that my wife would rather go out when it's dark to avoid the sun, but she doesn't. She'll wait till the sun comes up before she goes out for her exercise. And if she does go for a run earlier than sunrise, it's always going to be with me. So if you do want to go for a run when it's dark out, just make sure you go with someone. safety in numbers. The 8th suggestion to staying safe on the run is to leave your headphones at home. And yeah, I'd agree with this. Of course, you've probably seen videos on my channel where I say that these AfterShokz headphones are the most safe headphones for when you're running. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, when you're listening to something, it makes it a lot easier to get lost in your run. In fact, that's the idea of why we listen to music, why we listen to podcasts on the run, because we're trying to disassociate from the run itself. Listening to music makes that run easier. But if you do, let's just go back to number 1, being aware of our surroundings. If you are wearing headphones, it's less likely that you're going to be paying attention to your surroundings, at least all the time. And that's the goal. We need to be aware of our surroundings at all times. The 9th suggestion for staying safe on the run is to protect yourself. And this makes me a little uncomfortable because we are getting to the point where the worst has already happened, because the previous 8 things that we've already talked about are ways to protect yourself on the run. But by putting in the 9th suggestion as protect yourself, it's protect yourself at all costs. If someone is trying to do you harm, you stop at nothing to get away. You don't pull your punches, you try and get away from this person or hurt them as much as you can. And of course, I am not suggesting about going after an attacker. If the attacker flees, you're done. Call the police, be done with it. But if you have to fight, you give it everything. So guys, I know this was a little dark, it makes us think about the worst case scenario, but we need to think about the worst case scenario. We owe it to Eliza Fletcher to think about the worst case scenario and to protect ourselves. So my friends, I want to hear from you. I want to know if you do anything to protect yourself on the run. And if you're up for sharing it, I'd like to know about times that you haven't felt safe on the run. All right, let's briefly talk about my week of running, and then I will let you guys go and we'll all get on with our week. I had a pretty good week of running. The plantar fasciitis is still, well, it's not getting any worse, which is a good thing. It hasn't really got better in the last week, but it's not getting worse. So I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, my week started off on Monday with 7.3 miles, very easy. Just going out there, putting in the time on my feet, breaking a sweat, you know how it goes. Tuesday, I wanted to do a little bit of a workout. So I went out, I ran 8.1 miles total, and that comprised of 2 miles to warm up. And then I decided to do some 600s, but I don't know what happened. I had the workout set on my watch, but about halfway through, I was fumbling around with my watch trying to look at something, and I must have hit the lap button. And you can see here right in the middle, I messed up the splits, but that's okay. I did about 5 600s, and there was 400 meters recovery in between each one. Then I cooled down for 2.6 miles. Guys, I gotta tell you, when you're cooling down for that long, after you've been putting in an effort in a workout, running easy just isn't easy. But still, I look at that as part of the workout too. It kind of gives me a chance to push through when I really don't feel like running. And after I've been running fast, I do not feel like running. Wednesday was another easy day. Went out, knocked out 11.1 miles, just super chill. And I needed it to be a super chill run because with this work week, I didn't take a day off between my workouts. So Thursday was another workout day, and I knocked out 8.2 miles total, where I warmed up for 2 miles, then I did 5 miles at tempo pace, and then I cooled down for 1.2 miles. And then about you, do you ever question your tempo pace? Like when I got towards the end of that tempo pace, I wondered if I could have kept it going for a couple more miles if I had to. Ultimately, I probably could have, but when you're in it, it's a different question. You start questioning your ability, start looking at your heart rate, thinking, is it a bit high for a tempo pace? But no, tempo pace is supposed to be comfortably hard. And then Friday was my day off this week. I felt pretty good taking it. I went on the Peloton for a little bit, because a day off isn't a day off from doing anything. I like to do active recovery. Sunday was my longest run of the week. I knocked out 13.14 miles, and that's really because I hadn't run a half marathon in September yet, and I wanted to get that half marathon badge on Strava. So I went out a little earlier than I usually do and knocked out a nice and easy 13.14 miles, and everything felt good, but I was tired the rest of the day. And it was a little surprising, but I think I'm still putting it down to taking so much time off for that plantar fasciitis that it's taking me a bit of time to build that endurance back up. At least that's what I hope it is. And then I wrapped up the week with 7.6 miles, very easy, although I did run over to the mall, and I ran up and down the car park hill, a very slight incline, just to mix it up. And that brought my week's total to 56.6 miles, or 91.1 kilometers. So all in all, pretty good week. No complaints from me. Guys, thanks for staying all the way to the end of the video. Go ahead and put the tornado emoji in the comments if you have stayed this long. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.